Hello. Okay, quick reflection this week. 我觉得这个就是这周我学到很多东西。Especially about 就是我觉得 at the end of the day everybody is lost. I think everyone is lost on what they're actually doing. 我觉得今天可以讲讲我这个 philosophy。我觉得创业是一个年轻人可以做最好的选择，and I think everybody should go。我觉得每个人都应该去创业，因为人家总说年轻会试错，年轻是最好，就是年轻是最好的资本 or whatever. I think it's really true, because it's one of the most efficient ways that you can fail, and with certainty that you can get back. 比如说我现在 I'm gonna take a gap, I'm gonna take a gap year, and what I've realized is that you have the protection of saying that you're just a student, and that's totally fine. The fact that you're still in college is enough for you to say like, oh, like I took a whole year off to do this cool stuff. The fact that you fail is something that shows. If you just think about worst case, worst case is that we end up getting a job, right? That's why I keep saying unemployment is the goal. 如果最差的情况是我还要去找一份工作，那我何必 like use that as my job, or like you use that as my goal? Why don't I just do whatever possible that stuff that I can possibly, and like have that as my backup option, because eventually that will be the goal, like is to escape that, right? And like eventually speaking, 如果我没有成功，如果我就一直在失败，然后 let's say worst case and no one picks me up for some freaking reason, like I just do everything wrong, I can still come back to school and get a job. 所以我觉得 the main thing that there's definitely this main thread of I just keep having these conversations with friends, with extremely talented people around me as well. The more I talk to them, the main takeaways are, first, I think you should bet on yourself when you're young. I know this is so cliche. Everybody says bet on yourself. Betting on yourself means like taking the time to bet on you, your decisions, and the people around you. You should bet on your friends. You should invest in your friends. Those are probably the best things that you can invest in. It's in yourself, your friends, and the stock market. Like it really is just those. Before you invest in stocks, invest in your friends. Like seriously. 我觉得 like I came out of like a finance background. Obviously I'm very biased towards investing. 但是我觉得 out of all the things that you should do, you should invest in your friends. People should not be like competing with each other, especially with your close friends. No, you're supposed to support them as much as you possibly can, because 他们会带你飞. If you surround yourself with the right person, you can help them as much as you can. I mean, you actually get so much like just amazing value just from talking to them. They inspire you, they drive you, right? And they look for the same thing, and you just have to look for the same type of people, in college or like just beyond, right? That's why for me, I'm gonna look in SF and go to the Bay and 去接触一下湾区的朋友. Exactly. So I think this is something that definitely like speaks to me a lot, and I think it's one of the best things that you can possibly do at this age. There's nothing else. Like everyone does somewhat of the same thing. They're trying to stand out in a sense. I think you should pick something that truly speaks to you. Like for example, in the long term, I know I want to start businesses. I know I want to keep running businesses. I'm gonna have so many of them, and it's because I love solving problems, right? I'm just a natural problem solver, and I see things that people don't see. Like I see these bridges and gaps in society that I'm like, oh, I can actually use my skills to make a change and make the world a better place. But a lot of times people don't, they think, oh, either first, I'm not creative enough, or I don't got that dog in me to like actually do it, or no, it's too risky. They vote themselves out before they even try it. I think everyone should try it, and it's oversaid now at this point that everyone, like on social media, everyone says that, oh, you should go have a startup, you should do this, you should do that. No, you shouldn't. You should it's free will. You should do whatever the hell you actually want. Because if you really step back for a minute, think about what you genuinely want. Is it happiness? Is it success? Because success, in my opinion, success is a social construct, right? Just like so many things in life. You don't actually have to be traditionally successful to be considered successful. The only success you need is by understanding that you achieve what you want, and that's success. Because if I'm happy every day, like again, I came out of a trading background. I realized like, yeah, I can make a lot of money, but if you make a lot of money and you're still unhappy, that is terrible. To me, I'm like, the whole point of like doing something that I want to do is because I know I'm going to spend all my days and every single like second on it. So I might as well do something that I really, really like, because you can make money in so many ways nowadays. You can literally make money. Like, you can literally go scrape windows, like, anything you want to do. You can bet on Kalshi, right? Like, technically, there's a way of making money. Like, you could actually just figure it out, just get really, really good at something. You can make money. So there's no rush. I don't know why everybody is thinking about, like, oh, you need to get an investment banking job, you need to get a consulting job. Like, that is just not true. That's a social construct. You're not going to be happy. And I think the only things that make people happy are the ones that when you have real ownership over what you're doing. And I think that's something that a lot of people just simply don't get, especially at a younger age. It's just like, they can't really like step out of that zone yet. Like, it makes total sense. Like, this is what society taught you, that you can't accept this type of stuff. Like, yeah, when I was telling my parents, this is like something that they definitely did not agree with. They were like, yo, what is this kid doing? So it's definitely really hard. But I feel like unemployment is for sure the goal. Unemployment is the best employment, because you are actually in charge of what you're doing any day. You can go anywhere you want, because if you really just step back for a minute, why is free will so important? If I just decide to go outside at 3 a.m. in the morning, and you have no obligations to do whatever, you don't need to go to school, you don't need to go to classes, you don't need to go to, a job, you don't have any sort of things, and you know that you can survive with your, existing savings, that you've worked really hard for whatever case may be, but you know that you can survive. There's nothing that you're obliged to, right? And the fact that there's nothing you're obliged to is the ultimate freedom that everybody chooses and eventually wants to achieve. When you were young, you were born with unlimited freedom. You don't know how things work. When you were born, you literally just walked wherever you want. You kept breathing, right? You try to eat whatever you want too. And like, you realize that you had no obligations to the world. You literally had no idea how the world works, and you know nothing, right? And as you grow older, you realize, oh wait, society is putting on clamps on my life. Like, they're telling me how to live, how I'm supposed to earn money. I'm supposed to pay for my stuff, like all this stuff, right? Money is also like a social construct, but the thing is, like, it's only because people believe in the monetary value of money that it becomes valuable. But you can't treat everything like money. You can't treat your time like money. You have to treat yourself, your goals. It's not something that's given by a society, right? Your life and your success is not a societal contract. You have to give success meaning and what success means for you. And no one is able to really look at themselves and say, hey, my version of success is actually different. Like, I really looked at myself and said, like, my definition of success is that I just want to have enough for me to just like roam around the planet, not even around the planet, just around places that my friends are, and I can go see my friends and family with no obligation, and just go there whenever I want to. That's all I ask for. And once you have that goal in mind, you realize, oh, you actually don't need a lot of money. You don't need that much money, really. Like, you don't need 10 years in private equity to reach that, And like, golden handcuffs are real, right? They put them on for a reason. They tell you that, oh, I'm going to give you more money because you're really, really talented in certain things. Next thing you know, you're 10 years in the industry and you have no idea what you live for. And that's why everybody has this midlife crisis. And maybe before that, you should start thinking about, like, okay, how do I actually view and try to see, oh, what is like my ideal lifestyle, right? What is something that I actually value? What is something that I care about? Less so about, like, I need to be viewed as successful because I went to a top high school, then I went to a top college in the US, and then I went to a top bank or something like that, and I did a great job, and then I pivoted, and now I want to start my own business. Like, that's just a waste of time, because, bro, if you want to start your own business, in the future day and age, everyone has their own business. You should always start your own business. But the thing is, if you waste your time on, like, oh, investment banking, consulting, believe it or not, from all the conversations I've had, I really don't think a career in those fields actually prep you well at all for starting a business. Starting a business requires your talking skills. It does not require Excel modeling, right? The only thing that you need if you're doing a startup is like, oh, you need to build a financial model to raise. That's all you really need. But what you need is business sense. And that's something that you get from talking to people, from traveling all over the place, and just like learning and learning and learning. You read books, not even just news, but you just look at how people work and how people behave and what people say and what are other people working on. Like, that's what matters more than some sort of job. And at the end of the day, if you pivot away 2 years after postgrad, which is what everybody is doing, they're like, oh, I'm going to leave banking, I'm going to leave consulting in about 2 years. Well, that 2 years is not going to teach you that much. I'm not going to lie. They keep telling you that, oh, like why, like during the interview process, they're probably going to ask you like, oh, why investment banking? You're probably going to make some bullshit answer like, oh, like, it's one of the fastest ways for me to learn shit. Like, that's just not, bro. Like, the fastest way to learn shit is just do it. That is so much more efficient. Like, just go and do it. Like, it's really not that hard, and it's so much less like, it's so much more real. It's so much more genuine because you're working for something that you care about, not what corporate America cares about, or not what Wall Street cares about, right? So like, I think you can always read those information, like the stuff that you learn in banking, consulting, whatever, because those are still entry level jobs in a sense. You can just learn it, right? You can just understand it, and that's all you need. But if your goal is like, oh, I want to be like financial free, which is like, I'd argue the why majority of people, right? Or if you're why you're even thinking about like starting a business, it's like, oh, financially free. You have freedom. You have no obligations, and you want that lifestyle. You can start some hardware business, right? Or you can start like, I don't know, selling sunglasses. You can build apps. You can do whatever you want, but that does not come by 2 years of banking, consulting, or whatever top job. You should just do it. You can always start a company, and at this day and age, it's easier than ever, and it's just simply such an amazing gift that we have for us to be able to just say like, hey, I'm gonna take a leave of absence now. I'm just gonna build this stuff, or I'm just gonna like not even build this, like actually make this a company, actually turn this into something that's really, really meaningful, something amazing to myself, and like I think the world can benefit, stuff like that. You can genuinely just do it, and you also don't need venture money to do it. It's really cheap. You can bootstrap it, right? Like, just so many opportunities. So yeah, no, but that's my thoughts as right now. I just want to say it before I kind of forget about it. But recent takeaways, genuinely speaking, I think is really, really important. I'm going to look back at this video when I'm much older and really try to understand like, hey, look, like, when I'm 20, like when I just turned 20, what was I thinking? Why did I decide to take a gap my like freshman to sophomore year of college? Yeah. And one more thing is, I really think that more than anything, just like back to the point about how I think it's really important to invest in your friends. I think the most important thing is also just network, right? One of my other friends, really, really talented friend as well, we just had dinner the other day, and I really liked what he said about how he thinks, like he's about to graduate. He's a rising senior at Georgetown, and he's a VC investor. He's trying to go into venture. What he said was, he was like, the ultimate goal is to land a job without ever filling out an application. I think there's really a lot of merit to this. It's about, first of all, it's definitely about who you know. Second is about who trusts you, right, as a person. A lot of times what I've learned in startups and venture land is that when you look for angels and when you look for investors, even though my company is completely bootstrapped, like this one company right now is completely bootstrapped. The other company that we might start later down the line is going to be venture. Like, we're going to be open to investors. But the first one is like, we don't take investors. I realized that, like, despite that, I talked to a lot of investors and I try to learn as much as I can about how it works, because initially I didn't think it was going to be bootstrapped. But I realized that people back founders, right? They all say that. Literally from the smallest angels to Y Combinator, they all say that. Like, oh, we back to venture, or like, we back to founders, we back to team, we don't back to idea, because they know that they're going to like pivot, you're going to change, you're not going to do all that stuff. Really real, right? But at the same time, what's more important than that is like, yeah, they're trying to glaze it up so that the founders can like understand like, oh, they're actually backing me. They're not just some like, finance bros really hunting for returns. Most of the time they are. So you have to be aware. That's why venture money is like, in my opinion, a little more dangerous and definitely really expensive. But I think at the end of the day, for a lot of angels that simply believe in you for being you, those are people that are like, they literally, you just call them up and they will back you without any questions. They just say, oh, I'm in. You call them up, I'm in. And that's the sort of stuff that you just have to show that you have the ability to do. And how you show that is by like really, really going out there. And like, because at the end of the day, even though this might seem like it's all over social media, all over the place right now, everybody's talking about startup maxing, whatever, like, everyone's talking about that. At the end of the day, that is still the why. Like, it's still such a tiny percentage of people that are actually willing to go out there, bet on what they believe in, bet on the vision that they have for themselves later down the line. That is something that just not everyone is actually willing to do. And that's the niche. And that is something that really separates you for really taking control of your life. Really taking control of your life versus letting society define what success means for you. So that's all, pretty much.